This is the Chem 1 lecture going over the Unit 10C lesson over the rules of solubility. Now the word solubility just means can something dissolve in water, or the ability of something to dissolve in water. So since we're talking about water and dissolving, we're actually going to have to also really start including some phases. You know about 3 of the phases already. You know about solids, liquids, and gases. We use the letter S to represent solids, L to represent liquids, and G to represent gases. But there's a 4th state of matter that we're going to be talking about, not plasma. Everyone always guesses plasma. Actually, we're going to be talking about aqueous solutions, which we use the symbol or the letters AQ. Aqueous just means you have something that was solid that now is dissolved in water. So you have a solution, right? So think back to your Unit 2 words. Solution is a type of mixture. So we say that something aqueous is something that has dissolved in water. So to figure out what phase something is, if it's an element, you're going to use one of the color-coded periodic tables. If you're in person, you can see the color-coded periodic table on the walls of our classrooms. If you're at home, there is a picture that we've included with this lesson that lets you kind of see the color-coded periodic table. Elements are have black letters on the periodic table. Elements with blue letters are liquids at room temperature. And gases with red letters elements with red letters are gases on the periodic table. You'll see a few with white letters. Don't worry about those. Those just mean they're man-made elements, and they don't exist long enough in the laboratory for us to know what state of matter they would be at room temperature. When we start talking about compounds, on the other hand, it gets a little bit more complicated. The only gaseous compounds that we'll ever ask you about are ones that you are going to be familiar with. So things like carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide, things that we as teachers assume you probably are familiar with. The only pure liquid compound you'll ever deal with is water, H2O. So water is the only one you ever are really allowed to say is a liquid. For the compounds, whether they are solid or aqueous, you're going to use something called the solubility rules, which you can find on the back of the periodic table. Just as a little note here, you can see right on the screen in front of you, all acids. So kind of for now, we're going to even ignore the word strong. We're just going to assume that all acids are considered soluble. So remember, an acid is anything that starts with H in the formula or has the word acid in its name. If we say that something is soluble because it is an acid or because the rules say it is soluble, we are going to give it the phase AQ for aqueous. There we go, AQ. If it is insoluble because the rules say it is insoluble, that is the letter S. We are essentially going to assume from here on out that every chemical reaction we do takes place in water. So if you have a solid that is soluble in water, it's going to be a solution. If it is insoluble, it's going to be a solid. Here are the rules of solubility. They can be found obviously here in your notes or on the back of the periodic table, kind of in the bottom center. And essentially the way these rules work is you first look at the negative piece of your compound. You find if it's a nitrate, you would look at the nitrate row. If it's an acetate, you could look at that row. If it's a sulfide, you look down the sulfide rule. And it's just a chart designed to help guide you to figure out whether something is soluble or not soluble. If it does not have its own special row, then you would look at the any other negative ion or the any negative ion lines. Once you have figured out which line you are looking at, then you look at the positive ion. And the positive ion just tells you if it's going to be soluble or not soluble. So if we were going to look at a bromide, so like let's say you had sodium bromide, or actually better yet, let's use sodium chloride, table salt. You probably know that salt dissolves in water just through your life experiences, but let's look at how we would use the rules to determine that. Sodium chloride, NaCl. You would first look at the Cl, the negative part of my ion. We would look at this line right here. Then we would figure out where the positive part of that comes into play. We would first look at this top line. Looking for Na, we kind of just go across. Na is not on this line, so then we would look at the next line. Any other positive ion? Well, Na is definitely part of the other category in this particular case, so we would look at any other positive ion is going to be soluble according to the rules. So you can kind of draw a imaginary line if you want to from the any other positive ion to soluble. Kind of see just like that. We're going to do a few more examples on the next page. As we do those examples on the next page, please keep the solubility rules in front of you, either based off printing it off yourself or just kind of having your notes open, so you can follow along as we talk about those examples, and you can look at the chart as we go through them. So let's look at this first example, AgNO3. If I look at this compound, I know that Ag is the positive ion, NO3 is the negative ion. So to figure out if this is going to be aqueous or solid in water, first I'm going to look at NO3, which is called nitrate. So take a second, look at your solubility rules, find the line that says nitrate. It should be the third one down from the top. You should see nitrate NO3 minus 1. That tells you which line in the chart to look at. Then you look at your positive. In this case, we have Ag plus 1. If we look at our chart, it says that if you have a nitrate plus anything that's positive, aka anything, then you will have a soluble compound. So since we say that this is a soluble compound, we're going to say that it is aqueous, AQ, in water. Let's look at number 2. Number 2, we have potassium carbonate. Potassium is my positive piece. Carbonate is my negative piece. So because we're going to use these rules, we look at the negative part first. So find CO3 all the way down at the bottom of your solubility rules. All phosphate, carbonate, or sulfite all have the same kind of combination of soluble and not soluble compounds. So then we say, all right, we're going to figure out what K, whether that is soluble or not soluble. So positive ions, our first line there says alkali ions or NH4. Well, if you need a reminder of what the alkali ions are, you can look at the very top row of your rules, and you'll see alkali metal ions, Li plus 1, Na plus 1, K plus 1, Rb plus 1, or Cs plus 1. Those are my alkali metals. So, jumping back down to the bottom, carbonate plus an alkali ion or NH4 is going to be soluble. Well, K plus, we just read out, is an alkali metal ion, so this is going to be a soluble compound. If it weren't an alkali metal ion, so if it wasn't Li, Na, K, Rb, or Cs, or NH4, then you would just go to the next line. The next line says any other positive ion. That means anything other than what we just read through that list is going to be not soluble. So it would be solid. So let's do the third one kind of as an example. I got Ca, that's my positive piece, and I got PO4, that's my negative piece. So our rules say look at the negative piece first. PO4 is going to be in the same line as carbonate, phosphate, or carbonate, or sulfite. So we know we're looking at that bottom line of my rules. Then we're going to try to find how calcium, Ca, fits in. We start at the top. Is calcium an alkali ion? Well, we can remember that the alkali metals are Li, Na, K, Rb, or Cs. So we know that Ca is not an alkali ion. Or NH4. Well, we know that Ca isn't NH4. Those are different elements. So we know it's neither an alkali ion or NH4. So then we move to the next line down. Any other positive ion. Any other positive ion definitely would include Ca plus 2, which is what we have in this compound. So Ca is any other positive ion, literally anything else, is going to be not soluble. That tells us that Ca3PO4 is not soluble, thus is a solid. I'm going to pause the video here. I want you to take a second, see if you can complete the rest of these 10 examples. Here would be your answers to the rest of those compounds. A couple of solids in there, but a lot of things that are aqueous. Now we're going to jump down and we're going to do one of these examples down here. Let's look at zinc plus hydrochloric acid. We're going to combine everything that we've done up to now in Unit 10 by writing a balanced molecular equation while including the states of matter. So we got zinc. Well, we know zinc. Zinc is Zn. And if we look at zinc on the color-coded periodic table, we know that it is black lettering, so it's going to be a solid, plus hydrochloric acid. Hopefully you have your acid nomenclature down, and you can tell me that's just HCl. If you look at your last page of notes, you'll see that I told you that all acids are going to be aqueous. Now we have to predict the products. We look at these reactants, we'd see an element and a compound, so we know this is a single replacement reaction. Zinc will fight hydrogen, so we check our activity series. We see that zinc is above hydrogen on that list, so it's going to knock it out and take its place. We get H2 because it's a diatomic, which has red letters on the periodic table, so it is a gas, plus zinc chloride, ZnCl2, because zinc is plus 2, Cl is minus 1. So we check our rules. Cl is kind of in the middle of that chart. And it says that Ag plus 1, Pb plus 2, Hg2 plus 2, or Cu plus 1 is not soluble. I have Zn, which is none of that list. Anything else is going to be soluble, which tells me this is aqueous. Because we did a chemical equation, we need to make sure this is balanced. I'm going to put a 2 in front of HCl to give me 2 hydrogens. That tells me I also have 2 chlorines, which I already have on the other side. Because I gave it to you in words, let's just finish it off in words. That gives me hydrogen plus zinc chloride. So this is a combination of everything you've done up till now in Unit 10. Go ahead and pause the video here. See if you can figure out the final 2 examples on your own. Here you should see the other 2 examples. A couple of things to point out. Right here is an acid. Remember that all of your acids are always aqueous. Over on the product side of that same example, you have LiClO4. ClO4 doesn't have its own line on the solubility rules, so you would use the any other negative ion. So one of those top 2 lines where it says any negative ion. And here we have water, H2O. Remember that water is always a pure liquid, so it's going to be the only compound that you are going to say is a liquid L. Everything else is either going to be solid or aqueous. The bottom one doesn't really have any special cases, but it is always handy to remember that every nitrate is always going to be aqueous. All nitrates are aqueous. We use nitrates a lot, so you'll see them in problems a lot. It might save you just a little bit of time. Make sure you keep practicing these rules, and our next lesson is going to be adding on top of this and figuring out what the really interesting parts of these reactions happen. Because sometimes we say this reaction happens, but only some of it is interesting.